And we're back, episode 53, version 53, day 54. Welcome to Happy Hour, guys. Thanks so much. Justin Hess, straight in again on the comments. Just robotically, brilliantly efficient. I absolutely adore it. Hope you guys are all very, very well. Great to see your smiling faces. And tonight we got something. Oh man, I'm ecstatically pumped.
I'm glad. It's good to hear.
This is just gonna be so cool because. All right. Anyway. I'll tell you why it's going to be so cool in a second, but this is Mick Sandercock. Mick, thanks so much for joining us.
Pleasure, thanks for having me.
And Mick's from Jacobs Creek. Jacobs Creek. Now we had an array of people ask because there is a number of people that chime into the show that are like big fans of all wine. I think that's what we're trying to really build here is a love for all wine, irrespective of whether it's big, small, artisan, nutty, not. And we've only really managed to bring on the likes of smaller artisan winemakers, people that I've spent a lot of time either growing up with or getting into this industry with. We got into the industry largely at the same time as well.
I think we did, yeah.
Yeah, we studied together.
We did.
I mean, we were a year apart.
I think we were a year apart. I think I remember looking down at the
down on me. This is how it starts.
Looking down on you from the like the second years are in the lecture theatre, the third years are on the ground actually doing something.
Yeah.
And I reckon I looked down watching you guys doing the disgorging crack and trying to hurt each
other.
Oh
yes.
So it's a long time ago. That would have been.
That's the Jacobs Creek helicopter outside. This is the marketing team saying, "What are you saying?"
No, they'll be back in an hour to pick me up.
Well, on that note, you've brought some wine. Let's get some wine in glasses. Shall we crack some wine? Shall we crack into some of these? First, I can offer you anything, but I'm keen to see what. Do
you want to go red?
Yeah. Seriously.
We can move back and forward, left and right.
Yeah, back, forward, left and right. We're all good.
Let's just start here and we'll see where we go. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited because it's been a while. I'll admit, it's been a while for me. My last Jacobs Creek experience.
Well, see, I reckon it was a few weeks ago. Shall I chuck that there? So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A few weeks ago when I was watching you do a bit of a call out for big business. I'm not quite Gago.
That was when you got in touch.
Yeah, and I'm not quite Gago. You did ask for Peter Gago. But I think if anyone's going to be able to do it, you'd be able to do it.
Yeah.
To get him in.
It's really humbling.
But you did ask for it, and I thought, well, hey, I know you guys. I might as well jump on and say hello. And
absolutely, man. It's been a pleasure to see you because it's been a while since we've seen each other.
It has.
It's been at least a couple of years, and I had the pleasure of taking Mick through the winery before, and it's come a long way.
It's come a very long way.
We can't really say we're semi-pro anymore. I think we're really sort of.
You got concrete floors and
we got concrete floors that drain.
Yeah.
That's like a massive luxury. How did you walking through there? Yeah. And obviously you're the assistant winemaker at Jacobs Creek. How does that compare to what you walk through on a daily basis?
Oh, look, it's the same thing. It's just levels of scale, I think, to be perfectly frank.
So it's our largest tank. It's a 9,000. So we're going to be comparing sizes right now.
Here we go.
It's a 9,000 litres is our largest tank.
What's 9,000 litres? 9,000. Technically, our largest at Roll and Flat is 1.4 million litres, of which we have, I think, about 12 of those. But we spend most of our time in 680,000 litre, 228,000. But it goes all the way back down to 300 litres. So we've just opened a little, we call it a wine studio, everyone else calls it a winery.
That's awesome.
Or a kindy winery, I think is how a few people have put it.
But that's really cool.
Yeah. So
what's the purpose of that?
To do small batch, look at little parcels of fruit, do trials, all that sort of jazz that we do. But yeah, 300 litres, that goes up to I think about 5, or we can put up to about 3 tonne of fermenter space.
That's small. That is small.
Tiny little. It's in one of the old cellars at Roll and Flat, and we've sort of retrofitted it with some new equipment. Sorting conveyors, sorting machines, all that sort of stuff to try and bring a bit of technology in, but also allow us to go right back down to tiny trials to have a look at little parcels of fruit. Or one of the recent things that Tim Pelkos Hunt did, our Riesling aromatic winemaker, was grab the old bush vines off the banks of Jacobs Creek, and because bring them into the studio, and then you can ferment them on their own and see what they do on their own, rather than having to say put them into
like a big
wine
big blender or something and blend it away. Because it's usually, I imagine, what would happen. You'd get a couple of small projects, but they kind of get in the way. Logistically they're quite annoying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
and they end up sort of being bulk blended into things that are like 0.1% of so they don't really impact the flavour, taste, or anything like that.
Yeah, and look, we do everything from, I guess, the Jacobs Creek Classic range, which is many millions of litres at the more popular like Shiraz Cabernet and Chardonnays, down to, I guess, these guys, the St Hugo range, or even some of the heritage Jacobs Creek range, which might only be, say, a couple of thousand litres for the whole release of that year. So it's
so are you able to let us know what sort of secret, are there any secret projects going on in the Jacobs Creek sphere? Because it's not just Jacobs Creek, is it? Because it's is it called Pernod Ricard Winemakers? Is the full sphere of...
That's the sphere, yeah, well put. So we're French owned, if no one knew that. So we're owned by Pernod Ricard, which is a big spirits and drink business, I suppose, owning a lot of Chivas and Absolute Vodka, and they also then have...
And Malibu.
And Malibu. I can't say I've got that on the staff allowance. I've gone for a few bottles of Kahlua, but I can't say I've gone for Malibu.
That's so good.
But we go everything from that sort of spirit side of the business, and then they have the wine arm. So it's New Zealand, USA, Australia, Spain, plus a few others. So. And then, so Jacobs Creek, George Wyndham and St Hugo are the key brands from the Australian arm.
And even like George Wyndham, like that's a big call as well.
Bin 555 is one of those, like...
Yeah, amazing wines, utterly amazing wines.
People go back to time and time again, and they just want to keep having that wine, and so we've got to keep making it.
I find that fascinating. So like, because you're custodians at two levels, really, aren't you? So at one end, you are focusing on these people that go back to these wines for a reason, time and time again, trying to protect that. But then on the other hand, you've got this, down to 300 litre, little tiny wine studio.
Yep.
So what are you working on the wine studio that would need to compete or would need to bring things forward when you're doing such an amazing job looking after this?
I think the smaller stuff is more about that innovation, which we were talking about before we started the show, and it's keeping ourselves fresh on that innovation space, whether it's trying varieties out, trying techniques out. Yep. We've done, dare I say, even a little bit of skin contact white in there. I know.
Oh no!
I know. Camera's going to fall over at that point.
Yeah, that's awesome. So is it in responding to trends in consumers, or is it more responding to, hey, there's a bunch of other winemakers that are making a bit of noise with this?
A bit of both.
Or is it also just innate curiosity, like, screw it, why don't we just see what happens?
I think all of that. Absolutely, all of that. I think it's a bit of trying to keep up with the Joneses as well as create some new things. I mean, Double Barrel was one of those products that came out of that innovation space and has been an insane success for the business. So for those who aren't privy to that one, red and white wine, mostly Shiraz, Cabernet, and then a Chardonnay that we make generally in the general normal style through normal oak maturation or whatever it might be, and then it spends a bit of time in whiskey barrels. So because of that association within Pernod Ricard of being Chivas, Jamisons.
So did you just bring them across?
They literally come across as the ugliest barrels you've ever seen. They leak. They're the most misbehaved barrels you've ever had to deal with. But in all honesty, the wine comes in, it then spends a period of time through whiskey barrels, so it picks up all that flavour that you're going to get out of.
So was that, because that's pretty, like we were just talking about like different flavours today, adding different flavours to wine. We're like, we're talking about actually, beer was actually our inspiration today in more ways than one. But we were looking at Goza styles of beer, which is basically a salty style beer. And like, why doesn't anyone just add salt to wine?
Because we've got Langhorne Creek.
Well, that is actually a very valid thing, because, and it's fascinating that you actually say that, because on one hand, again, you're looking after a consistency, style of product, but accepting inherently that when you do indeed change, and hey man, Langhorne Creek, I pick it up as well. Like they are saline, briny level reds.
They're also fantastic.
Well, they are also fantastic.
Wine world in Langhorne Creek, and I've got a lot of love for the
Langhorne Touriga is off the hook. It's still one of my favourite wines out of Australia. Just period dot finished, and probably most underrated. But there's great Tempranieros down there as well. Amazing Shiraz Cabernet. But it's fascinating that even you guys have a respect for place.
Oh yeah,
because you've actually done a really, because quite often it's probably one of those things with larger companies. They say that they don't really care about what's a taste of a place, but Steingarten, I've been up there.
It's crazy.
That's crazy. What is Steingarten?
It's worth going up there. So that's our one of the oldest vineyards going around, I reckon.
Oh, was it either between that or Pusey Vale's? Because I thought Pusey Vale's, I believe, is the oldest.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, look, fine,
maybe,
yeah.
But we're still talking, pre-1900s, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Late 1800s.
And it was a mad idea. It's on the backside of a hill, faces east, I think. Like, it's completely odd. And to get the vines in, stupidly elevated, and to get the vines in there, to use dynamite. Because there was no other way of, because the land is so rugged up there. There was no way of just boring holes in or that, and it's like that.
It is, yeah.
So literally had to, and it's held up by like star droppers. It's not like there's wooden posts up there or anything. It's mad. Anyone who's in South Australia and goes to the Barossa, it's free to go up and have a look. I think you go up Trial Hill Road or Steingarten Road.
Yeah.
Open a few fences. It's open access to go and have a look. And there's a nice platform up there. I think they've kind of formalised it quite well.
It is really like one of the most amazingly picturesque things. It's just a weird, odd thing.
Go and have a look, yeah.
Jumping straight to the comments. G'day everyone. Sean, Scotty, Kerry, Terry, Yuko, Christina, Henry Hammersley. And Justin, of course. Thank you so much for joining us again. We've got all the lovely team together. Mick, are there any particular brands or grape varieties that you specifically work with?
Me in particular. I've been tasked recently with the Jacobs Creek Classic Red range. So that is a volume proposition, if ever there was one.
Like OG, the thing that basically builds Australia, like brand Australia.
Yeah,
in places like the UK.
Yeah, it did. It's sort of set the tone for what Australia was and got the name out there. I'm not going to take any of that credit. I'm merely just getting it through until someone else takes over and does a better job than me. But crazy. I mean, there's probably 5 to 10 different red wines within that bracket. Very traditional varieties: Shiraz Cab, Cabernet, Shiraz Merlot, all that sort of thing. But we're probably talking across those. That set of wines, probably 10 million litres worth of red wine every year. So it's just crazy. It's on a whole different scale.
Is that 10,000 tonnes?
Yeah, well, I mean, this year I think between the two wineries, we were down, like everyone was, down about 20-30%, but I think we put 50,000 tonnes through this year between our two wineries, so it's a different scale.
See, Richard over here is just like, we're still at the scale of shoveling. Just, how does that work?
Yeah, it's mad.
How does it work? What does the machine look like for 50,000 tonnes?
Yeah.
How do you logistically handle that?
It's all in the team. Not to blow smoke up anyone, but it's literally about having an absolute cracker team of people everywhere from the vineyard all the way through to the winery, to the cellar hands, the whole lot. And to be honest, management, labs, the whole thing, everyone's just tuned in to make that happen.
Yeah.
And it's it's a huge amount of planning, as you can imagine. I mean, there's a lot of...
And it's 24 hours as well.
24 hours, yeah. Yeah, for about... Well, I think for Richmond Grove, so we have the two wineries in the Barossa, Richmond Grove and Roland Flat. For Richmond Grove, we started processing a little bit of white for the flat, which is predominantly where the whites are made. And I think we started the 3rd week of Jan, and we haven't pressed everything yet. We've still got a couple of things on extended Mac.
Really? Is that a thing?
It is a thing, apparently, yeah. Maybe it's just neglect of it. No, it's
no, of course not.
No, but
it's like, is it something that you've occasionally, always done, extended maceration, or is it something
that's worked into? Yeah, it's something that, back to your thing about keeping up with styles and what people are doing. We have the ability to trial anything and everything because of the scale and the volume. So cool. We can do a bit of that this year and a bit of something else next year and have a look and see what it does. And if it works, fantastic, we build on it. If it doesn't work, you've got volume that you can blend into. So.
There's obviously a big thing inside the industry at the moment about natural wine. And whatever that means to many other people. Many people have tried to put definitions around something that inherently I think is people struggle to define. Even we've had natural winemakers on and big pundits of the industry as well. They're sort of like, it's the wrong conversation about putting it into a box. But if you take a general stab at it, it might look at something like either organic or biodynamically grown grapes, hand harvesting, and also zero sulfur ads.
Right.
I think, and no other ads of sort of acidification of any kind. is a Jacobs Creek natural wine like even like a prospect? Is it something like, do you guys consider things like, you know, because I imagine at that scale, that level, I heard, and it wasn't for Jacobs Creek, it wasn't for Pernod, it was for another larger winemaker that's based in the Barossa, that they had something like it was like a $2.8 million acidification budget. A budget awesome. for it's like, I wish I had that budget. You know, and so I look at that whole thing and kind of go, I think you can be terrified of something like that. I look at it and go, well, isn't that a great opportunity for someone to introduce like a new variety that retains its acidity in the heat, that can be used for, you know, at that sort of level. I imagine that you know, there are many financial gymnastics to be able to introduce a new product.
For sure.
Logistical gymnastics to introduce a new product. But a $2.8 million incentive to lower costs must be a really good one, right?
I think maybe the issue with that would be, would you buy a natural wine with Jacobs Creek written on the label?
That's a very sort of valid thing. You know, are we open to? And this is something that I've always had a bugbear. I have massive arguments with people on this because I would think it would be the coolest thing ever. I would, you know, I was so stoked when Penfolds released the Cellar Reserve Fiano. People were like, oh man, are you like scared? They're gonna like. I'm like, no. They have way more money than me. They're going to market the crap out of it, and it's going to become a thing. And Australia's going to be synonymous with Fiano, not because we did something, because maybe we nudged enough for a big shark to kind of go, you know what? I'm going to take a chomp out of that and give it a really good run. We just don't have the capability. Not even 1, 2, not even 20 of us. You know, maybe with one sort of unified voice, but the odds of that happening with such remarkable consistency, like we would never be able to do 50,000 tons. Mate, I just can't
do it. Don't set yourself that as a goal.
We'll leave it to the pros. We'll leave it to the pros. Justin Hess, on that note, you have a very small one in comparison, talking about tank size. But you know, it's the quality inside that counts.
Right, absolutely.
Hi, Stu and Craig here. Quick question for Mick. Steingarten Riesling, where's the fruit from now? Have heard that not that much comes from the original planting, but we do love the wine.
Good to hear you love it. Thank you, Sue. And you've also got some pretty good intel there as well. Sadly, Steingarten's, as you'll see when you drive into the Barossa, the vineyards stop. So as you look up towards the Eden Valley there, if you're on the floor of the valley, you notice you could almost draw a line, the vines will just sort of and stop at some point. And really the reason for that is just getting water, literally getting water up that far up the hill, which doesn't work. With Steingarten,
because it's up and over, isn't it?
That's right, yeah. So Steingarten's even worse, or even more difficult proposition. We have been trucking the water up, literally driving trucks with water in them, putting them in a tank next to the vineyard, and then trying to irrigate with that. And
do you know, I heard with Fiano, you don't need to do that.
Oh, right. maybe we should. Maybe, do you want to send an email to someone above me and say,
my people talk to your people.
Pull Steingarten out and put Fiano in.
No, it's still Steingarten.
Oh, okay.
It's just different.
Yeah. Well, the good news to that, and this is probably going against your whole idea here, is that we've just put a huge, great, big whopping line straight up the hill to irrigate Steingarten. So
I thought you were like huge line of Fiano running straight through it.
So we are getting water up there now, which is good. Further to the question, a lot of Eden Valley fruit from sort of Flaxman Valley, that sort of part of Eden Valley goes into Steingarten.
And gorgeous and like really good conditions, Flaxman's Valley. Flaxman's fantastic.
Really exciting. I think
really
similar vineyards that other notable producers like John Hughes and things like that take their fruit from up there. So there's a good body of Riesling fruit up in Eden Valley that we work from as well. So.
Got a curly one for you.
Please.
Is it too much to ask? It's not. Because I think it's good. Other than grapes, what do they add to their wines? Always a lot of talk in natural wine about additions, but interested to hear what Jacobs Creek is actually using nowadays and what their winemakers think of it. Well, nothing other than what most other commercial wineries would be adding.
Yeah, there is a strict set of rules to what you're allowed to put in wine, I think, so you can't really go beyond that. But
we can't, and that's, you know, that'll be things that I imagine, paraphrasing, would be tannin additions, acidifications, and things like that, if you need them.
Correct.
If you need them.
Yep. And that's pretty much it. So oak, it's no real. I suppose oak's technically an addition. So it's no different to anyone else really. It's tannin additions if they need it. Acidification so that you can obviously manage your wine through ferment and it doesn't turn into an ugly beast that you can't sell. Look, we use some finding agents as well if we need to round things out. So we're actually trying to move ourselves into a vegan space, especially in Classic, across the Jake Street Classic range. So the
that's
higher volume. Yeah, so
it's a big deal.
Yeah, so get away from any sort of animal-based finding agents and start using pea proteins and
which are becoming like a lot better. The products themselves are becoming a lot better.
Potato, I think, is another one we've used a bit of this year. I'm trialing it out. So those sort of things.
Adding potato to wine.
It just drop a bag in the top and
just whole potato.
You got someone up there just peeling potatoes into the top of the fermenter.
It's like, I want to be a winemaker one day.
Yeah, but no, look, I don't mind that. I don't mind that question at all. That's great. It's good, and that's what I like. That's kind of why I came here, is to be able to have a chat with people and see what it's all about. And yeah, I mean, we're not shy of it. Everything's declared on labels, and sometimes you got to. Sulfur, obviously, is another one where we have to use sulfur. The thing with us, I think, that's different for a lot of other people, is that we have a reputation, which we've spoken of, and we've got a consumer base that we have to hit year on year. We can't sort of ebb and flow with quality too much. We've always got to hit quality. And if that means having to use a few additives and finding agents and slight additions just to make sure we're hitting that product, so that the consumer who keeps going back grabbing that off the shelf knows
we would, as an industry, I imagine, want more people drinking Australian wine just in general.
Yeah.
Just in general. And I'm talking about the global industry.
Yep.
So we can have winemakers like us that do crazy shit actually have a chance in the market to be successful.
Get scared of your stuff and come back to Jake's Creek. That's right.
That's right. But we actually found a loophole with that list of additions. I was looking at it like ages ago because the allowable additives are oak, of course. And up until I think it was about the 1950s, we never really had that list in the 1950s, but a lot of the wine that was made in Australia was made in not oak. It was matured in native Australian timbers. And in fact, even at Jacobs Creek, I was quite surprised to see a number of foudre, these Bottigranis, massive casks, or tonneau, I think they're also called, made out of jarrah.
Yeah, right. Oh, the old ones, like the ones we've got port in now.
Yeah, all got port in them.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting a whole bunch of old casks just like that held port for about 80 years, and got them recoopered down.
Yeah.
But it turns out if you do that, because eucalypt isn't on the allowable list of additives, it can get you in a lot of hot water.
That's a great segue to this wine too, by the way.
So, yeah, that's right. So what's going on with St Hugo? Because I haven't had St Hugo in ages. It's such a good wine, and at the price point, and it has kind of come down a little bit in maybe the last 10 years. It used to be on 80, 90 marks, and around sort of like, it's still there, about 60 or 70 or so.
Well, I think the sort of Coonawarra Cabernet and Barossa Shiraz are sitting at about $40, $50 a bottle now, so a bit easy to get your hands on.
Hey, Noah, do you want to crack at this? Yeah, absolutely.
So I heard you a couple of weeks ago make the comment, what's happened to Coonawarra? And so I thought I had some pretty good fruit to bring and show you from Coonawarra. We're pretty lucky that we have some of the best fruit down there. Some of it being our own vineyards as well, which is even more exciting.
It smells amazing, man. It's like, you know it's Cabernet, and you know it's from Coonawarra, not Margaret River. Know it.
I saw that video, so
it was actually Harvest Syrah. It was Adelaide Hill Syrah, and it was tasting as well.
It's a long way off. Although the pepperiness, he was on the track of Margaret. Anyway, so yeah, St Hugo. This is where it all started for St Hugo. So it's one of those brands that's been around for a very long time. Great amount of heritage, good collectability. It's always been one of those sort of legacy brands and that sort of thing. And the St Hugo brand started with the Coonawarra Cabernet. So that's where it all started. And then as it came up with us into the Barossa, we've then sort of expanded the range, GSM, Barossa Shiraz, and then
because I think the year that because a lot of people might not know, I actually did a vintage as a cellar hand for Pinot Ricard for Jacobs Creek at Roland.
Still haven't recovered from that.
I know they're still finding little bits of winery equipment stashed behind tanks and stuff. I rely quite heavily on understanding sort of the what you can do to wine. Right. I think because a lot of people can be overly protective, especially at the smaller scale, but actually having a commercial understanding of what is possible, what is capable, and that's actually meant a whole heap to things like systems design. You know, this is not a very cool thing to talk about when you're talking about art. You know, people want to talk about vineyards and being in touch with the soil and stuff like that. And I'm just a bit of an engineer type geek, where I just absolutely adore things. Like I want to be able to move wine efficiently from one place to another. And I also want to be able to, and oh man, like the overhead, I remember this scene of utter spaghetti of all the lines going into the set lines.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And like the naming conventions.
Oh yeah.
Like,
see, I'm not being a winemaker. I'm not privy to the naming conventions. It's very much cellar based.
Frog.
Cellar.
I remember a good old frog line.
Yeah.
We just because you would walk kilometers. You know, you'd hook up to like a set line, and then you need to, you know, it'll be like all the way through because you're sending this wine down to like one of the lower tank farms. And you'd hook up to Frog up here, and then you go down, and there'd be another. It looked like an organ, massive organ.
That's what I was about to say. It always reminds me of like a big orchestra that you've walked up to.
Massive organ. And you go down, and you're like, oh crap, which one did I? You know, if you didn't name them, you'd be in trouble.
You would.
And if you hooked onto the wrong one, and you started thinking you're a kilometre away, so like you could press the button on the pump, and you could just be like just shooting out wine just straight into the drain. And you wouldn't know about it for a long time. So it is actually like, at that level, the logistics that are required are just mind-boggling.
It is.
You operate in a very different world.
Absolutely.
And it's, I don't know, just the volumes on it. Tash Studley, of course, being very cheeky, as always, have to ask, is it pronounced Cock or Co? It's pronounced Co.
Thanks, Tash. Yes, this was new for Brendan.
Yeah, very new for me. And I realised the difference between Sandercock and Hancock. It is Hancock, pronounced Cock. But Sandercock, pronounced Sandercock. Is it your job to have the wines taste as similar as possible from vintage to vintage, or to ensure that specific characteristics show in the wine?
Depends on the product. So
and it is
Jacobs Creek Classic and George Wyndham, the sort of bigger volume-based blends that we do, it is about trying to get some consistency year on year. There's always going to be vintage variation. That's why we're in the business, but that is part of the job, is to try and normalise it so that you have that return customer and they get what they're looking for. Because at the scale we're talking about with the consumers, you don't want them to come up and then decide, no, that didn't quite do it for me today, I'm going to go to the next one on the shelf. Because that's where we're playing in. Very different to where you guys are playing. We're sort of playing on on the shelves at Dan's and things like that. And so you want that return customer to keep going for it. When we then move up to the more premium ranges, Hugo, Steingarten that people are talking about, and the equivalent products up at that level, it's very much vintage variation. So
also, people are collecting these and they're seeing these with a lot of age. I would argue that there will be very few wine brands out there, and ours included, that, I mean, we don't have the provenance of age. We don't even have age ourselves, right?
You're looking good.
But like, that's the thing. It's like, you know, a lot of people ask us, you know, how long is this Nebbiolo going to age for? I'm like, look, we've existed for 8 years, and that's 6 years old. And I've tried some of the original stuff, but we've changed technique every single year as we fine tune exactly where we want to go. So I actually don't know. I have no proof to know. I mean, I just have a palate and I have an idea and I have a, you know, inkling, but. You know, when we talk about things like varying sulfur amounts and stuff like that, all of that stuff plays, you know, a massive role.
Absolutely.
BC and MS, do you think we'll ever see a full list of additives be required by law to be listed on the label? So just like the food we get from the supermarket, a list of ingredients say, you know, personally I'd like this. Well, firstly, there is a winemaker in America that does champion this, and his name immediately escapes me. It's a shame because he literally like goes through and lists everything. It's actually pretty incredible, and I think it is more a move. It's like a bit of a flex to be able to like, this is what I don't add. But he does showcase the, you know, very open about the use of things like wood chips and stuff like that as like a more efficient way to, you know, put that flavour into a wine that people like. And not have to cut down so many goddamn trees.
That's right.
Basically, that makes a lot of sense. What do you reckon? I don't reckon we will. It's such a stable product.
It depends.
And, you know,
Look, it depends on what the purpose for that is. I mean, if it's an allergen thing, which is that's obviously very valid and needs to be on there, but through the use of cross-flow filtration, membrane filtration, a lot of any of the residual amounts of those products aren't really in the wine because it's been sterile filtered. So any of those things that might trigger people, yes, of course we need to declare it and declare how much might be in there, etc. Of course, that's important. But from that point of view, a lot of those things get cleaned up.
Well, wine is. I
don't know about every. I also don't know that it's that
important.
Huge,
that's sort of my point. Is like the wine itself. Wine just happens to, by happenstance, find itself in a really interesting space where it's alcoholic enough to be very stable.
Yeah.
And we've seen, you know, time and time again that, you know, small amounts of things like sulfur, for example, of which you have to announce on the label as well anyway, will hold a wine as being stable and not harm anyone. There's very, very little evidence that this particular product, irrespective of the allowable additives, of which there are a strict array of them. I think it's more to do with the terroirists. I think it's more to do with the people that want to know, oh, is there something that's altering the flavour in this wine? But I think what's becoming more and more apparent is there's customers for those wineries, it's customers for those wineries. And they're not really meeting in the middle.
No,
there isn't really like
not.
a middle ground for it. My personal preference, I just like wine. I really like all wine. There's one that I'll probably drink more of and drink less of. But I mean, openly, I would very much enjoy this bottle of wine. Probably wouldn't be something that it would be like an every single day a week, but I don't think St. Hugo is a every single day of the week wine.
Not much can afford it, I suppose.
Yeah, and also like with a bit of age. Interesting, 2016, warm vintage. This is looking really, really crisp.
So I brought this for you in particular because this did really well at the Limestone Coast Wine Show last year.
Yep.
Which is the wine show for that part of the state. And yeah, it kind of knocked it out in that wine show. So it was worth bringing along here to have a look at. It's just a cracker vintage of Coonawarra Cabernet. It's quite light on the palate. You know, you kind of expect it to really drive with weight and some of those sort of blockier, squarer tannins, but it's quite
sublime,
quite
like,
soft.
Yeah, that's sublime. That's fantastic. Classical, but like surprisingly, you know, respectfully as well. It shows a remarkable level of restraint.
Sure.
Actually doesn't showcase someone's like we talk about this winemaking artifice. It actually doesn't showcase a lot of that.
Yep.
In fact, I'd be hard pressed to go, there's a ton of oak in this, because it doesn't feel like that either. It seems to have swallowed that oak and actually moved that into some form of structure.
Now that's testament to the growers.
Yeah,
so back on your point about being your engineering, wanting to move stuff left and right, that doesn't do anything for me. Mine's more about mine's more about the vineyards. Honestly, that's where I started with Jacobs Creek, was in the viticulture side of things.
Yeah.
Because that's what interests me, and that's where I want to see that translate into the bottle. And it's products like this where it's purely about that fruit. I mean, it's all selected. We've got plenty of barrels of Coonawarra Cabernet to try and make that wine from. But we choose it, and we know the better parcels and the vineyards that really worked that year, and we can then sort of narrow in on that for that product. So.
And that's really good. There's a couple of other quick questions, because like people are just like trying always like, this is fantastic. Harry Holbrook, isn't transparency important though? Isn't it better to be open with consumers about what is specifically used? Many won't care, some will though, even if they're not your normal consumers. My answer to that is, firstly, transparency, and I have a massive thing for this. Transparency, yes, for me is one of the most important things, and especially for our business. And that's why we've got things like B Corp certification. Pernod Ricard's actually really good with this as well. Pernod Ricard's actually surprisingly good for it. It's just, it sits inside a corporate structure. We are a little bit more nimble because we're smaller. But my sort of thing is, and Laura and I were only talking about this yesterday, once a company becomes, and one of our sort of biggest goals would be like almost basically full transparency. And it's about how to do that, how to do it in the most respectful way. And especially like full transparency is pretty hardcore shit. Yeah. That is like, everyone knows what everyone gets paid. Everyone knows the profit figures, and we're not a publicly listed company. That shit also gets, I just love that, because for me, that's the ultimate competitive advantage. Why? Because your consumers that you're talking about, the people that will care about that, we win them straight away. And have zero competition until such time as someone else wants to answer the same call and be just as transparency. So just as transparent becomes like the absolute baseline once one company does that, right? So if other companies kind of don't need those extra consumers or don't need to cater for them, then I don't think there's any reason why they need to be. But it would be cool if they were, right? I mean, yeah, totally. I think it'd be really cool. But it's also it's like the size of that market is surprisingly small. It's actually something eye-opening at another larger winery I worked at. We were talking about how there was 2 recipes for wine, for Shiraz, that they made there. One for the UK market, one for the US market. And it was based on, I was like, how does that work? And they're like, oh, you know, we analysed palate, weights, shapes. We went to those sort of big group tasting things where they got, you know, blind tasting for people, and they developed a spider matrix, and then developed exactly how much tannin and acid gets added in between two, and like what goes to the UK is what different goes to the US. And I thought this was so cool, because I was like, can you tell me what I want to drink? I'm an Aussie. Right. Can you tell me what I want to drink? And their answer was, firstly, like, it doesn't really work with that, it works with big data. I was like, that's fine. Well, tell us what do you sell the Australians, the Shiraz, that, you know, we make a you know, a big reputation on. What do the Australians like to drink? Okay, we haven't done the study yet because it represents less than 2% of our revenue.
Wow.
And I think if you open any business and cater for the less than 2%, you're an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
That's a terrible move. You will not actually be there to service your customers day to day if that's what you're going to survive on.
For sure.
What was more surprising was their answer was that we get sold the UK blend, and I'm like, yeah, but you're trying to say that you're serving a populace of people that get raised on Vegemite and lager, a drink that is built for people that get raised on Marmite and ale.
Yeah,
like,
warm ale.
Warm ale at that. It's like, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. But again, like that's obviously it's the economies of scale, and it's how sort of big business like this works at that level. But transparency I think is really important. But how important it is to certain people, whether it damages people or not, I don't know. All I know is that for the people that care about transparency, the first transparent company in the world is probably going to win all of them, and that's an incredible opportunity for the right company.
I don't think we're not transparent, which is if that's how it's come across. It's not really that. It's just that, I mean, if you email us up, or you're welcome to email me directly if you really want to, and I'll tell you what's in there.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah, true. But I mean, we're not transparent. I think it's just there's some things that, I don't know, maybe it's, you don't need to say some things are just best.
Yeah, are they important? Maybe not. The other things that we also noticed was that with some people, and we would go out and we'd talk about the sustainability of our varieties. We'd talk about where they come from, and we'd talk about the branding design. We'd talk about all these things, and all they actually wanted to know was, what does it fucking taste like?
Yeah, exactly.
And we were like, we realized that we spent so long talking about the wrong thing because that's not what that person. So it is dependent on things.
Just people drinking.
Whilst we're talking about transparency, this ultimate segue.
John,
you've brought a wine.
I have.
And we're going to become not transparent now.
Right.
We're going to go.
We're telling people at home what the wine.
We're telling people at home what the wine is. We're going to not transparent because it is time for the only sport left in Australian television right now, of course, and that is blind tasting.
Wow, look at that.
I know. It's
technology.
Oh man, it's so good.
I did see Sue's question there. Yes, we do still make Jacaranda Ridge.
I was going to ask that as well because Jacaranda Ridge is dope.
That is awesome.
Seriously, that is like the wine that we're talking
awesome.
about, and that was the OG, wasn't it? Originally Jacaranda Ridge.
Oh, I don't. You might know that better than me, but it could have been. I mean, it's one of those heritage brands. That with the Lawsons, which is a single vineyard Shiraz out of Padthaway.
Yeah.
And the vineyard's got a bit of Riesling in there and a bit of something else, and it just creates this monster. That with Jack is some cult favourites of ours. So yes, it's still around.
And crossflow filtration.
What is crossflow filtration? Well, you're the engineering nut versus me, but in a brief sense, it's probably it's a bit of a stand. Do you guys use crossflow filtration here?
We have, we definitely have. I really enjoy it. For our sort of upper tier stuff, we've gone to no filtration because it just takes a bit more time. It settles out. Good clean rack. Fixes it. I did rack the wine this year.
Did you do a good job?
No, I did a terrible job. We had to delay the release of the whole fucking thing. It was terrible.
To let it settle again. Yeah,
it was really bad. It was like mud. So that's why I don't step foot in the cellar for very long. Oh, this is Truffles.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, he wants to. Yeah, he just say g'day.
A quick explanation of crossflow filtration. It's sterile filtration, so it's very tiny membrane filtration to make sure that the wine is stable, so that it goes in the bottle. It's clean. It's not overly cloudy. There's nothing in it that might create some issues down the line. But it's kind of the gold standard now. It's really at our level, at our volume.
Of all the forms of filtration, I find crossflow filtration is probably the most gentle because I think that again, technology. I'm not afraid of it. I actually really enjoy it, but for the right reasons. There's different types of filtering out wine. One of them is by basically changing the density. A basic one is just make it cold, it'll settle out. Done.
Especially if you've done a really bad job of racking it.
Yeah, exactly. Time, of course, settles things. Changing the density just quickens the time. Another really great way to change the density is to be able to run it through a centrifuge. Literally like spin it up really quickly and all the solids go full and then wine goes through.
Bit like, I always think of that, to try and explain it, is a bit like a lettuce
cleaner. Lettuce cleaner.
And then all the water falls out to the side. It's pretty much the same principle.
Pretty hard on wine.
Brutal,
pretty hard. The other one, probably the most common one that we would typically see is exclusion filtration. So you're basically ramming wine through a membrane or like basically a filter pad, and it will basically block up and remove all the particulates in it and allow the wine all the way through. Crossflow filtration's sort of a little bit odd, where it's like
against the.
Well, sort of like what happens is the wine goes through and the particulates have freedom of movement, and the wine just kind of seeps out into an outer zone, which kind of gets sucked away. And so it's at the end of the day, it's still like a pretty rough process for wine, but out of all the choices that you actually have, it's actually remarkably gentle and really effective, and it doesn't involve carcinogens like diatomaceous earth, which is nice.
Or trying to get that to stay, not that I've ever actually done it, but Ella's told me a lot about trying to get the DE to stay on the filter, you know, that's half
terrible.
the skill. Yeah.
Oh yeah, what do they call them? Rotary drum back into RDVs. Yeah, crazy things. All right, you know how to play this game? Options?
Yeah.
Options?
Jump in. Do you want me to move this? Should we move this out the back here?
Yeah.
Elbow it.
This is this. Oh yeah, sorry. Put in the comments down so I do not know. Noah's always really good with this.
What are the comments going to give you?
Well, he's going to let everyone know what it is.
Right.
What it is.
Okay.
So they can actually play along at home and watch me basically really like suck and fail at this.
Oh, you'll be fine.
But it smells amazing. Damn, like that is. I like that.
Yeah. I actually haven't looked at this in a while.
So of course,
all right.
Utilizing the black glass.
Yes. Yep.
First question would be: is it red or white? And I'm going to vote for white.
Well, you would be correct.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it would suck if I did.
Yeah, they would probably just turn it all off at that point.
This is actually quite white. This is amazing. So, Old World or New World?
Indeed, New World or Old World.
That's a harder one to do, to be honest with this wine, because straight away I think it's really well made Chardonnay. Like it's got a very that's what I think it is. It's got like quite a liberal use of oak though. The very, very, very liberal use of oak.
Deep pockets kind of use of oak.
It's leaner, cleaner fruit. I think it's New World.
Correct. Well done.
Cool.
New World.
Yeah.
Do you want to go country now? Is it New Zealand, Australia, America?
That's Australia.
Bang.
Yeah. I mean, Australia would like this. It's a very liberal use of oak. Like it though. The fruit weight's really cool.
New Zealand get up and about with their oak every now and then too.
They do, but I mean, it's the fruit weight and shape of this. Where I think I saw something really similar to this last night actually, and that's not to say that the two wines that we had last night are in poles apart of this, but it's actually just the fruit weight of this. It's globular up front, so there's a big ripeness, but then it's clipped at the back, and so it is that sort of fine balance between. It could be Burgundy, it could be Chablis, but when I see like Burgundy is Burgundy at both. You know, it's Berg all the way through, or Chablis all the way through.
Yeah.
So it's therefore definitely New World. And just I've only if it comes out of New Zealand again, that has that sort of balance. It's like a seesaw effect on the palate. Usually, and some people call it disjointedness. I just call it more. It's obviously the taste of the place.
Yeah.
For me, that means straight away I'm jumping to Australia and jumping typically to Adelaide Hills. To be fair.
Hey, let's just jump forward.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome.
Got it. Let's
really
do vintage though, shall we?
Fuck. Okay. Yeah. Right.
18, 17 or 16.
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't think it's 16. 16 is very ripe vintage up here. So if it's either been picked with remarkable accuracy, if it was a 16. 17 could be good. 17 is great vintage. But I think it would be looking a little bit... I think it's a larger producer who's done this. I don't think it's a small producer. It's a good producer. Like they're pretty talented what they're doing. Yeah, the oak's really fun.
It is just the right amount of flint. I mean, there's nothing hiding in this wine. It's in your face, ready to go. But elegance and lines, it's good stuff. A little like tick, tick, tick in the background.
Yeah, this is when he's stumped.
No, I'm not stumped. I'm not stumped because I think it's fucking classic Jacobs Creek fucking Chardonnay from Adelaide Hills. That's what I think it is. Because I think it's remarkably well made.
You're playing the man though.
I know, I'm playing the man.
Catch you out, yeah.
It's 2018.
17.
Yeah, right, okay, cool vintage. That makes a lot of sense then.
Pretty serious line and freshness in it.
Cooler vintage.
Well, that's enough, I think.
Is it Jacobs Creek?
It is Jacobs Creek.
That's so good.
But it is I brought this deliberately because of Adelaide Hills. Have a chat about Adelaide Hills.
Yeah, so we're based up in the hills. And you live in the hills.
We both live up here. Yeah.
I've never heard of this. What is this?
Yeah, what the hell is this?
What is this?
So this is our premium Chardonnay that we make. our number 1 Chardonnay. So the Lindale Shardy.
What does this set me back? Oh, it's under the Hugo name.
No, it's Jacobs Creek sort of heritage label. It's about to.
All right.
I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this or not, but
Should we not
rebranded. No, but we're sort of releasing Orlando as a brand. So
Oh, really? That's really exciting.
it's going to.
Come on.
I'm pretty sure it's going to fall under that with the 18 vintage.
It's not going to focus for me. Yeah, no, because
it's biased
my
against large.
it just really likes you. Maybe I'll just cover you up. Oh, it worked! Sorry.
That works
so
well.
good. That's so good.
Yeah, so
that's
this is
really
our-
cool.
Yeah,
That's
this
really
is our
cool.
best Shardy we make every year. It's changed from sort of Eden Valley fruit sometimes, but it's been Adelaide Hills for the last couple of years. And just,
That's going to
awesome
reward you in the
example.
cellar.
Awesome example of Shardy that we knock out. The 18 looks fantastic as well, as I said, about to be released pretty
Bottle
soon. as
number
well.
1563. That's
What-
not a,
which
that's not
episode's
a-
this?
This is 53.
Get rid of
So
the 1
close.
and the 6.
And the 4 zeros after. No, no, but it does. Was it not a large batch? Was it like?
No, this is tiny. This is, I don't know the exact make on this, but this is, like I was saying before, it's one of those smaller, couple of 1,000-litre runs for the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So do you guys like get obviously because how many winemakers in your team?
There's
the
10.
team?
There's about 15. So there's about 10 of us that are what we term operational winemakers. Which I only threw you out a little bit before, but
Yeah.
sort of more winery based. And then there's a handful of group winemakers.
Yep.
As well, that bring all the expertise and experience to the
And
game.
so when those things come out and you've got such a wealth of resources, you've got just all this stuff basically at your fingertips. When something like this drops,
Yeah.
do you guys kind of froth over it?
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, it doesn't get too far out of the door.
It's like most of the stuff.
Try and grab it as quick as you can.
What's that like?
Yeah.
That is so good.
But no, this is awesome. So this is a bit of Piccadilly fruit, bit of Central Hills as well. Usually goes into this. Yeah, again, barrel selected, but
I love it. Jacobs Creek owns Adelaide Hills Grenache. You have Adelaide Hills Grenache?
No, it's a separate brand. It's a different brand.
Ah.
No, so I called Jacobs Creek JC, and JC's owns a separate brand. So
Ah, right.
Someone got
Right.
That threw me
George got
out.
confused.
That freaked me out.
That was
Who's
Well,
growing Grenache in the hills to start with?
there is
Really?
one. There's only one vineyard out at Kersbrook. Out at
Oh,
Kersbrook,
so
which is
yeah.
Southern Barossa.
Yeah.
It's like it's really hills. Oh, it's pretty cool. I mean, we did some really good fun stuff with it in 1 year, and then decided not to again.
Yeah.
But maybe that's
Moving
the
on,
reason.
enough said.
Yeah. Well, it would be unfair for you to be able to bring such a wine like this and not be able to play the game yourself.
Okay.
Would you like to choose? I don't know what these wines are, so we'll be playing
Right.
together
Cool.
on the back wall here. So feel free to grab whatever you wish. And yeah, we're gonna have a bit of a yeah, absolutely, man.
Sweet. Got to pop it down. I'll grab it a second.
Beauty.
Oh, sorry, Noah, did you get a crack at this?
I did. Of course.
That's
yum.
that's really good fun.
It's delicious.
And what would do they have pricing on that yet?
Oh yeah, I think that's in the $30, $40 a bottle.
Ooh,
I mean, that's one of the good
worth
things with JC
amazing.
is that value for money is always pretty good. So
What I actually really appreciate, and it's a weird thing. It's probably a winemaker only thing.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't opted for the big, heavy, like balls out crazy, heavy bottle with this.
oh
Right.
yeah, okay, yeah, no, yeah,
Because
Slimberg,
you know
yep.
if you're going to go like a big sort of flagship style wine, typically you would probably shove in one of these things. But it's a horrendous amount of carbon cost. It's a horrendous amount of weight. It's completely useless and adds absolutely nothing to the wine.
Absolutely.
And so I really appreciate someone taking a stand for a company that clearly has literally the amount of.
I'm going to keep it.
Oh wait. Oh yeah.
That's all right.
These are blackies.
And look, that's a good point to raise. It's something we're very conscious about is that sustainability side of things, which may surprise a few people. But we've actually recently gone 100% renewable with our power.
Seriously?
We have that many solar panels. It's not funny.
Even with chilling?
We've just covered our car park at Rolling Flat with solar panels.
Even with trying to temperature control
Yep.
1.4 million litre tanks?
Yep. Plus the rest. Yeah.
Plus the rest,
Of,
yeah. I mean,
you know,
they're
680s
just-
and
yeah, all the
228s
680s, yeah.
But yeah, between that and also I think investing in some battery powered up in the mid north, we've been able to completely offset our power.
Well, backtrack. You've done what? How cool is that?
Yeah.
Actually, so you've got the solar there, but like, look, we're going to need to store it somewhere up and,
Or at least, or invest in offsetting by jumping on some batteries in the mid-north. So
That's-
it's very cool that we've sort of gone. It's obviously something that we need to take seriously.
Yep.
Sustainability and looking after the environment, something we do, which you made note of with the
Well,
lightness of the bottles, which is a starting point.
I was always really impressed with, because sustainability and quantifying sustainability is like a real sort of bugbear of us. Mainly because, purely for the fact that there's just a lot of companies that go out there and greenwash.
Right.
Pernod Ricard, for the record, is definitely not one of those. In fact, of all the larger companies that operate in wine in Australia, I'd say you're definitely leading the pack. Between that and some of the Yalumba initiatives and sort of what they do at Oxford Landing. But you guys, like, it's so well ingrained into things like the governance. Like, a lot of people, when they talk about things like sustainability, really miss one of those really key things, which is sustainable governance, having independent board members, making sure that if you're building a company that actually does give back in some sense, so even if the product doesn't align with the natural wine movement or anything like that, we're talking about still a company that uses energy, that uses water, that pays, employs people and stuff like that. So there is value that is offered in this company, an extraordinary value at that. That company can continue to do that on a year on basis. Pernod Ricard was always the one that was always nailing it from a governance perspective. Every single I dotted, every single T crossed, every single thing utterly nailed on. It's sort of like for me, the gold standard of wineries in terms of wineries of that scale. That does sustainability really well. No, so it's a credit to the company. All right. Ooh, this smells remarkable. I like wines like this.
Wow.
I like wines like this. Oh man, I really like wines like this. Oh, it's beautiful. I'm like such a, easiest way to my heart is through a really confected, cheeky little red, or like a musket driven, white. It's just, I'm so basic.
I was going to say.
Florals on florals on florals and carbonic maceration for days.
Didn't take Laura too much to get you, did it?
No, mate, it was a lot of work. She hated me, and I had to, it was like pushing shit uphill trying to lock a lovely lady like Laura down, that's for sure.
Bringing you
and you never really lock Laura down. You're just transitional, really.
She's disappeared. She was here.
I'm just around. No, she's probably watching this from the warmth of home.
Enjoy the flow.
Hello.
Do you still have that fireplace?
No. Oh wow. Yeah, I didn't realize. We bought a fireplace off this fella.
Really?
Yeah. Back for our place. Did I tell you that I had to actually? I didn't do the measurements right. I just saw that. I forgot. We bought our fireplace off Mick.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was. We actually had to jackhammer out the fireplace to fit the fireplace. A big triple bay door thing going on. It could fit 4 logs this size in it, and it was like a game to see how hot we had to, in the depths of winter, open all the windows in our house. It was so hot. It was too much.
It was a beast.
It was too much. It was fantastic.
I don't think Mum and Dad ever turned it on. It was in the wrong part of the house for them, so they never sort of used it.
I guarantee you, then, if it's in the wrong part of the house, a couple of more logs, sweet. Be sweet. All right.
Who's? Are we just jumping in?
New word, old word.
Red or white?
Sorry, red or white?
Red. Oh, you gonna spit it? Yeah, it's definitely red.
I had my eyes shut. Well, I had my eyes shut.
It was definitely red.
It tasted red.
It tasted red. It's red.
It's red.
It's amazing. I like this wine.
Yeah, cool. Good structure
Yeah, amazing.
and all that.
Feels like a
potpourri
really
of
good
things.
dolcetto.
Oh,
That's what
hello.
it feels like.
I'm gonna taste this like
Yeah, no, you go for it.
Yum. Are we going Spain, France, Italy?
Oh, it's old world, is it?
Oh. Well, he's answered that question for us.
Yeah, he was sorry.
It feels it feels old world. I would have chosen old world. You said if it's Spain, France, or Italy. Damn, because I know a couple of cheeky Spanish varieties this could be. Like Bobal would be the top of my thing here, or Dolcetto. I don't think it's Grenache.
Wow, that's tough.
Whoa, I want to say Dolcetto so bad, like Italy so bad. Colorino,
It's the texture that's
Sangiovese.
throwing me.
Bobal typically doesn't have that sort of texture either.
I'm going to jump in so that people don't fall asleep. Obviously, you're having a great time.
I'm gonna go Italy. I'm gonna take a stab.
See, I was thinking Italy, but I'll keep it enjoyable. I'll go France.
You're on France.
Oh, nice.
Very
Nice.
well
There we
done.
go. obviously working for
Very
a
well
French
done.
company, that's a good thing.
It's one thing we don't have, other than champagne, don't
Yep.
have French dry wine. Just said.
Yeah, right.
Mm.
Well, maybe there could be a corporate takeover thing going on, right?
I'm sure Alex Ricard's tuned in.
Yeah. Smells amazing. Wow, that's fun.
Are we going Loire, Rhone, or Beaujolais?
Mm.
Wow.
Loire, Rhone, or Beaujolais. I don't know if it's Cab Mackie enough. But it is in that
Beaujolais.
bright, lifted spectrum.
Yeah. Could be
I'll
Cab
go
Franc.
Rhone. I'm just going to go Rhone.
I'm going to go Loire because Cab Franc, maybe, not so
It
steady.
does have that liquid spice that really leads to the Frankie.
Yeah, and Loire's known for these sort of styles as well sometimes. But yeah, I'll go Cab Franc and Loire, sorry.
Yeah.
Loire.
You're going Loire?
No, Loire.
You're going Rhone?
Yeah.
It's Rhone.
Oh, he's killing me.
Jeez.
He's killing me.
You'll get it.
Cheer.
Frenchy winemakers over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow, okay. Yeah, right.
Do we want to
Surely Grenache dominant then.
Yeah,
It's like we're
we'll
kicking
call
on
it
this
that
like confected character thing. It's so strong in this wine. It's so yummy. Laura, you got to try some of this. This is really good.
Yeah, you'll do this.
You'd really dig this. This is fantastic.
North or south?
pretty light.
South. He's gonna hit north. I know it. I know it.
Yeah,
So
I'll go
clearly I'm
north to go different.
Yeah, right, it's north.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I gotta do a George
Christ.
Costanza at this point.
yeah, that's too good.
Yeah.
He's killing me. He's killing me.
Do we want to go super sub-regions?
Or
Do we want to go, appellations? Or do we want to go...
it's probably gonna push me, to be honest. I'm
Yeah,
from-
Is it a single?
You're pushing me here.
Is it a single like a crew? Is it Northern Crew?
It's one variety.
Oh, okay.
Far out. If this is Syrah,
It's very light, very.
if it's not, but it's
Kinda-
not. It's like Syrah from there typically doesn't like look like this.
No.
Just like it's so atypical.
Yeah.
In a really great way. Like it's a really tasty wine. I would drink buckets of this if I could.
Yeah, if you'd gone Grenache, I'd be like, yep.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
Grenache.
flow with that.
Yeah.
We'll push it to the next level of appellation. We're going to go Saint Joseph, Condrieu, or Côte Rôtie.
Jesus Christ. If this came from any of those places, I am so stoked at what I'm drinking tonight. I'm gonna watch Saint
Wow.
Joseph. At that, Côte
It
Rôtie
is-
would be like too much age. This is a fresh young thing. You could bang out a Saint Joseph, bang it out. But like you
Yeah.
get a Saint Joseph
You've
out.
got one
we're
at the
still-
back, don't you?
Yeah,
This
totally.
year-
yeah.
this vintage just
yeah,
went,
yeah,
oh,
man,
Saint
good,
Joseph,
that's funnily enough that's how they do it in France.
Yeah.
That barrel there, that's Saint
That's it.
Joseph. Condrieu, red from Condrieu. Is there even any red from Condrieu?
It has that. It's
definitely not Viognier, but-
effortlessness that.
Shiraz Viognier.
Joseph would
Shiraz
give you.
Viognier. Could be Shiraz Viognier. Actually, that's a really good point. Saint Joseph, Shiraz Viognier. It's Côte Rôtie. It's
Yeah.
actually Côte Rôtie.
Originally I was just going to go Côte Rôtie, but you said Joseph. I think we should split on those lines and see how we
You
go.
want to go? You want me to go Saint Joseph and you
I'll
go Côte
go
Rôtie?
Rôtie, yeah.
Yeah, because it is Rôtie because it's a Shiraz Viognier. No, wait. You said it's a single variety.
Yeah.
Fuck me. All right, cool.
Yeah,
Saint
it's
Joseph
not-
then. Saint Joseph. I'm on Saint
Label
Joseph.
single variety.
Yeah,
Yeah. Could be
There's a
anything.
winemaker.
Then.
That's a
it's been
winemaker's
labeled a
background.
single
Yeah,
variety.
yeah.
That's right.
I'll push the LIP as hard as I can.
Good.
Saint Joseph.
Saint Joseph, and you're going Côte Rôtie?
Yep.
Yeah.
You're on, it's Côte Rôtie.
This is
Is
insane.
this a point where
This is insane.
where like you've just blind tasted this thing, you've just cruised all the way through it,
Yeah.
and you know this is what
all
happens.
arts.
Jacob's Creek.
This is
you
all
know, this is
arts,
what
no
happens with
class.
Jacob's Creek.
Yeah.
You know they get skilled at the art of tasting French wine in particular, and I at Unico Zello do not.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
Where did
impressive,
this come
man.
from though?
That's
Is this you
The-
bought this or it's
Yeah,
donated? Or?
no, we bought it.
So
No,
at some
cold
point
cash.
you've seen what's in there, or
No, so what happens is I go to an importer or a retailer that
Yeah.
that's really friendly, and I just say, hey, mix up a whole dozen,
Yeah.
and we're going to give you some money,
Right.
And send the invoice to Laura. I don't want to see them.
Okay.
They rock up here in a sealed up box.
that way it's
then,
free.
Then
if you don't see the invoice.
or something like that.
Yeah.
I still feel the pain though. Trust
Okay.
me.
No.
But the Noah grabs the box, wraps them up, so I don't actually get to see them. So I'm really adamant about that because it's a fun thing for me too. All right, so it's Côte Rôtie,
Wow,
Syrah,
that's crazy.
Syrah.
Syrah.
It's Syrah. Wow.
Do you want to go vintage?
Far out. This is a gnarly wine. This
Hey.
is so young. far
That's
out.
amazing.
It's delicious.
It's the freshness of it that's astounding.
Yeah, absolutely. Vintage.
We're not having options. We're just stabbing.
2017.
2017 for you?
Yeah.
How long does it take to import it, bring it over?
Yeah, I was thinking that, and I was like, it has to be the youngest possible release for it, so therefore I believe it would be 17. Yeah.
I mean, I can be different. It just tastes fresh.
So fresh.
17 seems like a good guess. I'll say, I don't know.
You can go the same. It's all good.
All right, I'll go 17.
Go on
then.
17.
Yeah, we'll sit on 17.
It's 18.
Oh,
At least
said
you got
fresh.
something wrong.
we said fresh.
That's so cool.
I was worried you
So
felt left
I may have made a mistake
Okay.
because I just Googled, so it's from our friends over at Frank About
Talk
Wine.
about wine. Oh, cool. Yeah, wicked.
The
Crap, this is good.
The
Yeah,
page
that's
on
very
their
good.
wine store says Cote Rotie, but on the back of the bottle it says Condrieu. So I'm quite confused here.
So, but this is actually interesting. So, de Colleen Rodaniniez.
Yeah, well done.
Yes, I
Yeah,
think
that
so.
was fluent.
Very much.
Yeah.
So it's a Von de Pay. So it's actually a declassified. So maybe the winery is, but I don't think this particular thing's from Cote Rotie, which would probably explain the fact, like, because Cote Rotie has mandatory aging period, so it doesn't feel like it's had like a large amount
bright and fresh
super
and,
bright, but
pretty young.
Like I said, still comment still stands.
Oh, yeah.
I would still drink bucket loads of this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
That's
60 at the minute it's $60, but RRPs are in
Mate, Mick, you're just like right
Am I
in the zone
okay,
of like,
I'll do
like
this
people.
again. I'll
No, it's just like you're just a really good looking man. The camera doesn't lie.
Said no one about a redhead.
And on that note, I think that's a great note to finish on. Mick, mate, thanks so much for
Pleasure.
and being an
Thanks for
awesome
having
sport
me.
as well, answering some really curly
Yeah.
questions.
No, it's been great.
I think I'm really glad that you're not leaving with the St Hugo or the Chardonnay.
No, fair enough.
It's just not going to
good to
happen.
hear. It's good to hear.
Because I'm going to drink it.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for being fantastic. This is actually So, oh, cool. Oliver actually knows this one. It's really pretty, super
Cool.
pretty.
Yeah.
IGP that will be based in Condrieu. That is an IGP. That's
Lottie.
fantastic. That's really cool. Don't need to declare Viognier out to 20%. That's so cool. You guys know so much more than me. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. We'll be back the same time tomorrow night. We have another very, very special guest joining us tomorrow night. But, mate, thank you so much.
Pleasure. It's been good to see you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And see you tomorrow.